This cover-up has been all the way to the heights of government, all the way to the top. They've all known about it, and they've all participated in the cover-up. It's undeniable at this point. There's over 1,300 victims, and who knows how many never came forward. How many succumbed to overdose, suicide, drug abuse, are homeless on the streets, and how many aren't here today because they're in prison and in jail because of the trauma that they've experienced. So we're going to get right into it, and first we're going to hear from some of the speakers, and then we're going to hear from a whistleblower who's never been heard from before, who worked for DCYF and helped perpetuate the cover-up, and we're going to hear exactly how it was done. So after that, we will go over to the U.S. Attorney's Office and deliver the petition with our demand for the criminal investigation into the state itself. Not just these scumbags here who, you know, did the horrific acts that they did, but the ones that covered it up. And arguably, I would say the cover-up is worse than the abuse that happened. And there's people who helped with the cover-up that are still working for the state today, still working for DHHS, still working for DCYF, and all those people need to go immediately. So without further ado, our first speaker, Moon. I don't want to say people's names, like they can introduce themselves. Miss Moon, is she ready? Oh, here she comes.
Let's go. Good job, girl. Let's go. Let's go. Video it for you and send it to you.
Well, hi everybody.
Hold it right here, real close.
First, I'd like to thank you all for coming, sticking this out with us. A little backstory on myself. I was sent to YDC when I was 15 because I was a runaway. I had been placed in multiple group homes and facilities, both here in New Hampshire as well as in Massachusetts. YDC was the only place left for me to go. My time at Sanders Cottage was like something out of a bad book or a movie. I saw girls punched in the face by our male house leader. I watched him drag my best friend up the stairs by her hair. He punched a friend of mine in her face and broke her nose. This creep would sit in the office bubble and watch girls out a small window on a door that looked towards our showers and bathroom area. I saw heads bounced off radiators and the concrete walls of our cells by him and other male staff from different cottages. I was walking down the hall one day and my friend was writing on the walls in her own blood, naked in a caged cell. And what I mean by that is the door itself was like a cage so that whoever was inside could be seen at all times, and it was used for suicide watches. I don't know how long she had been on restriction, locked in her room before they put her in that, but I know it was a long time. We were confined to our room for weeks at a time. If we broke the rules, we were allowed to attend. Some were allowed to attend school on such restriction and others were not. I know that girl missed quite a bit of time. I used to see my friends from the boy cottages come to school with bruises, black eyes, and broken bones. I had heard rumors of the fight clubs in their cottages, but I never understood what it really meant. We had what I thought at the time were two of the coolest female overnight staff, but looking back, they were just as sick as the men who would come and rape us. They never seemed to question why my abuser would come to my room in the middle of the night. and closed the door behind him. I never knew when I would get a surprise visit in the middle of the night. My best friend was taken to a hotel by her abuser when she went home on furloughs. Not just once or twice either.
You got it. Keep going, you got it. I'm here, man.
I was sexually assaulted by one of my boyfriends, at the time's abusers, in front of him for just being his girlfriend, because it was another way to torture him. During school time, if we needed to be escorted from one building to another for whatever reason, it was an opportunity for sexual acts to be performed and or received. Pregnancies happened, miscarriages happened, abortions happened, sharing STDs happened. This environment felt completely normal to me, and I can't explain why. I don't know if it's because I was institutionalized or if it's something deeper than that, but I just know it was normal for me. You're probably thinking, well, why didn't you say anything? Like, who was I gonna tell? The overnight staff? The nurse? I told her I was bleeding heavily with pain in my abdomen once. She looked at me and said, you're probably having a miscarriage, and then closed and locked my door, leaving me like that, so I didn't trust her. Although she did have the best Benadryl. We would line up when she would come at night to give people their nightly doses of medication before bed. I didn't know at the time that it should have been a pink pill. I know what a benzodiazepine looks like, though, and how it affects me. I had a 20-year battle with it. This started 2 years after I was released from YDC. There were a few of us who would take it to help us sleep. I wasn't going to tell our house leader, who was mean and violent. Every single staff member knew what was happening, but looked the other way. I remember someone coming to investigate abuse, but nothing ever came from it. It made the front page of the union leader. How could any of this continue? Talk about a kick to the gut, right? There was nobody to help us. My life trajectory was changed the moment I stepped foot inside that cottage. I was terrified to have kids. I knew that damn near anything could get you into the system, and I didn't want that. When I first found out I was pregnant with my son is when I had what I believe was my first panic attack. The life I could have had and the life I could have given my children was taken from me. I live with guilt and shame every single day. I could have been a better mother to my kids had I not ever been to YDC. The only good that ever came from that place was the relationships I had with others who were there with me, like these beautiful women who are with me today. We deserve a proper investigation. We deserve an apology. One of my abusers was arrested. The other has not been. That man currently holds a coaching position for youth basketball. He does. How does that happen if the state police and attorney general's office knows what he did, not just to me, but hundreds of other boys and girls? He should not be allowed to be in a position of authority over any minors. There are a lot of parents out there right now who have no idea who this man really is. How dangerous this man is. I want to know why only 11 people have been arrested while hundreds of others are walking free with their pensions. My guess is the AG doesn't know how they will prosecute these vile criminals for what they did, believing us and our stories, believing how awful these people were to us, but then walk into another courtroom for a civil case and say it didn't happen. I'm not a lawyer, but that screams conflict of interest to me. The state cannot investigate itself. They have had decades to put a stop to horrendous child abuse, but haven't. This goes all the way to the top. It doesn't stop at YDC. Many agencies, as well as people in the highest positions of power in New Hampshire, were made aware and did nothing. I refuse to be silenced by them. I deserve to see these people held accountable for what they did to us. I know what was done to my friends, people who became my family, people who I care and love. The horrendous torture my East and King Cottage guys went through makes my heart ache and my blood boil. We need to protect the kids who are in the system now and in the future. As a society, we owe that to them. please sign this petition and help us. This is the biggest scandal in the state's history, and it cannot be swept under the rug any longer because we're not going anywhere. We're here for the fight, and we're here for the long haul. Thank you.
God bless you. Corinne, good job. Good job. Your name is Corinne.
Corinne, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Corinne.
Good job.
Eric Savage here. And then your next brother. Here we go.
I'll hold on to this. How you guys doing?
Hold it up close.
How you guys doing? All right? All right. So most people in this city here know me as 72011. And though I'm not going to share my real name with you guys right now, I am going to share a little bit of my experience. I went to YDC at a young age. I was about 11 years old when I rolled through that gate. I was afraid. I was scared. I didn't know what I was in for. And my first day there, I'll never forget it. It was the day that my life changed forever. It began a course that I still, till this day, am trying to correct. I came in there, and it was late at night. I was inside of a cell. I heard screaming, yelling, banging. I heard a child screaming for help. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that, like, something bad was happening. I wasn't aware of what it was until the next day when I woke up. When I woke up in the morning, I was standing in a group of young kids like me, and we were all being punished for what had taken place the night before. What happened was a staff was assaulted. And because the staff was assaulted, everyone there was held accountable, and everyone there was punished. That was my introduction to YDC. I'm not going to share a lot of the war stories that happened or the traumatic experiences, because as I see this child's here, and there's no need to talk about things like that. As an adult now, it's hard to process what's taking place because of the things that I've been taught, the lessons that I learned growing up inside this place. I spent my whole juvenile life inside YDC. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all the way till I was 18 years old. And the lessons there, I can't say were good lessons, because I was taught to keep my mouth shut. I was taught to punish people with force if necessary when they do you wrong or when they do something wrong. I was kept in solitude for, if I had to add up the amount of time that I did in solitude in YDC, I would say it was years, probably 2 years in solitude. That does something to a person. And I say that because I have a lot of friends who went through similar things than me, and they're not here right now. They didn't make it through that. That does something to a child's mental state, to take on the abuse like that from people that you think are there to help you and protect you. You know, when you go to someone that you trust and you confide in them and you tell them something, and then they turn around and use that against you, the lesson that you learn there is not one that it's going to get you anywhere in life. I kept my mouth shut for so many years because I was taught that that's the right thing to do. Keep your mouth shut. When I came to a staff and told him about a problem I had, he punished me for it and showed me the proper thing to do is to keep your mouth shut. Now, when I got out of YDC at 18 years old, I had no idea how to live life. I had no clue. I didn't know anything, but I was an adult, so I'm expected to know how to carry myself and how to function in society, though I spent the last 7 years in a place being tortured and abused and was given no skills and didn't even know anything about myself as a person. I know now that I have PTSD. I have a little bit of attention deficit disorder. I didn't know these things as a kid. I didn't know anything about myself. All I knew was that I did a lot of things wrong and I got punished for all the things that I did. The level of punishment was definitely excessive, but I thought it was normal. I thought it was normal to be treated that way. I didn't know that I was being brainwashed by the people that are supposed to be protecting me. They were gearing me and steering me in a direction that I had no idea that they were in control of my life. I had no idea. Every day I would be told the percentage of kids that would end up in jail. I was told that I would be one of those kids that would end up in prison. I was told that every day. Told that, thrown in a cell, locked in for weeks on end, and told that when I get older, I ain't gonna be nothing. I'm just gonna end up in prison. I started to believe those things. And for a long time I did. I really did. I convinced myself that that was my destiny, to be sitting in a prison cell rotting with the door shut. I thought that that's where I belonged. Well, it's not. It's right here. Because I'm strong. And I realize that now. Because a lot of people didn't make it through what I went through. They either died, they're either still sitting in prison, serving the rest of their life, or at a hospital somewhere, or sitting on the side of the road. A lot of my old friends that I grew up with in YDC, I see them sitting on the side of the road in Manchester, and it hurts. But that's what they gear us for. That's the direction that this place steered us in. And honestly, if I could get one thing out of all this, is stop it. Stop it, that's it. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about who does. I just want it to stop. Like, there's no reason why things like that have to continue when people are speaking and letting people know and nobody's doing nothing about it. It just needs to stop. Somebody needs to do something, because this isn't just now being made public. This is just now slipping through the cracks and being exposed, because this has been known for years that this has been happening. Every single kid who's been through those doors knows what goes on inside that place. And they talk. Kids talk. So people know. It's just that nobody cared. Well, now it's time to care. It's time to care, and it's time to do something and put an end to it. And I didn't prepare no speech to come out here and tell you guys. I figured I'd speak from the heart. And though I kept a lot from you guys, just know that it is a very dark place, and that is why I don't care to share too much, because it's dark. And even knowing some of the horrific things that happen can be damaging to some people. So I'll leave that out of it and pass it on to the next person. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that. Ashley, do you need a minute? You're good? All right, here we go. Ashley's going to speak for Charles.
Charles is like his family up here. Babe, I have to read it. Yeah, I have to read it. You need somebody to hold it.
Hold it real close to her.
So I'm going to do my best here. I'm reading this in care of Charles. John Doe, number 9. I'm going to cite some allegations first. From the Manchester Union Leader, August 14, 2019, County Attorney Michael Conlon. Article cites abuse at YDC. Deputy Attorney Jane Young. Her office announced a comprehensive investigation and malfaceted review beginning in 1990. The Union Leader, November 21st, 2000, State Rep Randy Lyman. He said he's getting 3 or 4 complaints of abuse a week, 50 to 20 new complaints, extremely serious complaints. The Union Leader, April 20th, 2001, State Rep Patricia Dowling, Republican from Derry, New Hampshire. Chairman of Family Law Committee said the abuse investigation results will be in 30 days. Donald Shumway said complete investigation has been turned over to Attorney General Ann Larney. Manchester Union Leader, January 4th, 2001. Article cites abuse. Jean Shaheen is in that article. Manchester Union Leader, December 17, 2000. Attorney General Philip McLaughlin. Article citing abuse at YDC. States it's under investigation. Don't be fooled by the illusion, people. In our state's government, in position of power, no children were being physically and sexually abused and took no action. Can I have a napkin? I'm sorry. I missed it. And then I will read Charles' speech. I apologize. I have a cold. Okay. My name is Charles Glenn Jr. My story is being narrated by Ashley George, the love of my life. I did not make him say that. You know, we have an obligation as people to our ancestors and to the future generation of our children. As one writer once wrote, we don't just come from the winds of our mother and the seeds of our father, but sometimes those seeds, such as I, need just a little bit more water and a little bit more love. Instead, I was plunged into the darkness, a 7 by 9 foot cell of sin, in a place called the Youth Detention Center. They failed in the concepts of reforming and hailed in concepts of deforming. At 11 to 15, I wore shackles and handcuffs every day, reminiscent of my slave ancestry. I was reminded that I was stamped from the beginning. See, I was a great child. In 1988, a man brutally stabbed my mother 21 times in front of me. I began having nightmares and wetting the bed after this. Acting out in school. By 11 years old, for misdemeanors, I was sentenced to the system. By 12 years old, I was sentenced to YDC. For my minority, meaning until I was 18. Can you imagine? 3 misdemeanors equals a 6-year sentence. Within 1 week, I was scared in YDC, in my cell in the dark. After waking up from a nightmare in Spalding Cottage, I summoned the guard staff to open my door for the bathroom. I sat in the bathroom and refused to go back into my cell. I was dragged to my cell and placed in a 4-point leather restraint. I allowed them to secure my hands because I was scared. They then left and I screamed, wiggled, and cried until they came back, and I was relieved because they opened the door and shined in the light. Conrad then wrapped the towel around my head and they left again, and I screamed and cried, wailed and wiggled until they came back. I felt the relief when again the light shined in the front door, until this time he wrapped his hand around my neck and told me as he gritted his teeth, his breath smelling of alcohol, as he told me to stop fucking yelling. I begged and pleaded and cried and told him I would if he just kept the lights on. And he did, but he left me tied up until I could hear the sparrows chirping in the morning. I couldn't understand or grasp why I kept getting into mischievous trouble. I was hyperactive and a bit hypervigilant. My existence from 12 to 14 was sitting in a prefabricated chair in a single cubicle. in a prefabricated chair in a single cubicle that George Jones had someone make. And it was spray painted in orange writing, saying, "I'm a 0, talk to me and you'll be a 0 too." Because of my level, I sat all day in a single cubicle, staring at a wall, no notebooks, no magazines, no pens, no paper. On the weekends from 4:30 until 6 p.m., I then walked to an empty cell where the walls were bare. No pictures, no property allowed in our cells. In about 1995, I remember getting into a shoving match that resulted in George Jones breaking my nose and having 2 other boys that were 17 hold me down. Can you imagine 2 other juveniles residents holding down a juvenile resident? By 14, I had graduated to King Cottage. This was the last stop. In King, everyone wears orange, just like prison. Family visits were at a weird time, so basically they were non-existent. I was dying inside for my mother's touch, to see my sisters. I was hurting so bad. I was going through puberty, and I would gravitate towards the girls at school to find some form of softness, maybe to see a heart in a letter or to read "I love you" in a note. This was, of course, against the rules. I was vilified, demonized, and received demerits for this, which in turn would take down my level just for talking to the girls my age. This would plunge me into solitary confinement and in turn hurt my social development, even to this day with my relationships. From 1996 to March 1997, I lived in the East Corridor of King Cottage. I was not allowed clothing, only a pair of Fruit of the Loom underwear and a blanket. My mattress was taken at 5 a.m. and given back at 5 p.m. Sometimes 10 p.m. if I couldn't stop talking. My only relief was going to school if they let me. In the East Corridor, talking was not allowed cell to cell. Staff would beat us up if we kept on talking. They beat me up so much I became numb. I began cutting myself and hurting myself just to get out of solitary, for a breath of fresh air. My spirit was broken. I felt like death was okay. After all, I was incapable. I couldn't stop talking. For the record, when I say they beat us up, I mean they hyperextended your shoulders, hyperextended my shoulders, hyperextended my ankle. They choked me unconscious. They'd bend back my fingers. They'd put pressure points under my jaw, my neck. They'd stomp on me, punch me, kick me, and pile on top of me the same way they killed George Floyd. Richard Brown would digitally sodomize me while choking me with such force he would lift me off my feet or grab my testicles while holding me in a rear choke and lift me in the air. His arm pressure would silence my screams. When he'd let me go, I'd be a puddle of myself on the floor sobbing. All of us kids feared Dick Brown. You knew he'd choke you for any type of backtalk or refusal. Jeff Buskey would use his position as a police officer to scare me, to intimidate me. He would regularly beat me and rape me. I'd be all alone in that cell scared. I don't think this was just done for their sexual gratification. I believe they did this to emasculate prepubescent boys and to break us down. I'd be all alone in that cell scared, but I still couldn't stop talking. Violence would be getting violence, and by 15 they certified me as an adult for at times defending myself and sent me to adult jail. I felt like God had cursed me and my soul ached with loneliness until I became numb. Today at 42 I sit in a cell, but I'm finally able to break out of that cell that has held my spirit captive, because finally someone can hear my screams. Finally someone can hear our screams. We may come from the winds of our mothers or the seeds of our fathers, but the only way to cultivate beautiful flowers is to nurture them, stimulate the soil, water them with love, give them nutrients, and take them out of the darkness and spoil them with sunlight. For we are sunlight. Thank you. Oh, I just put Charles in my pocket. I'm sorry.
Thank you for that, sir. We have our last speaker before the whistleblower.
How you guys doing out there?
Yeah.
My name's Jason. I won't say my last name as of yet. So I figure out I'm violating parole right now. But
Louder, Jason. You
Oh,
can
sorry.
take it out if you want.
So I got into this whole thing through Charlie. Me and Charlie, like brothers growing up. We grew up together in the system. Chi-Chi, a few of us. But me and Charlie were always together. I met Charlie when he was a little boy. He was a little dope boy. Always ran his mouth, funny. But at ADC we met, and we went from ADC to YDC together, and then Valley Street, and then prison. I finally got the tattoo. But so Charlie talked to me for a while because I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to get involved. I went through my own ordeal, coming through the system and all the way up to prison. And I caught a charge. 2 months out of YDC, I got charged with murder. And my life was over at that point. I never thought I'd get out of prison. I never thought I'd be here. I thought I'd be continuing the same violent lessons that I was taught as a kid. I'd never get out. But by grace and by God, I came to a higher understanding of life, and I changed myself when I was in. Probably about 10 years before I got out, I started my own change and healed. I had to go through a lot of healing, and it was a lot of rage. And I wasn't raised with that rage. I wasn't taught that from my family. I came from a Christian family. My dad was a preacher. So even when I got arrested for murder, and everybody was like, oh my God, the preacher's kid. But yeah, I was very, very, very full of anger. And there's only one way I knew how to outlet that, and that was the way it was used against me. Because I know, I wasn't an easy kid. We're all in trouble. We're all doing things. No kid is easy. We all have kids now. I have 2 daughters. It's not easy raising kids. Kids can be difficult. But in the system, when you're difficult, you get extreme prejudice. And it's taught in you that nobody cares. You're a lost cause. Nobody gives 2 craps about you or how you feel or what you have to go through. Even now, we're getting the same exact response from the state. They still don't want to care. They don't want to go into the skeletons in their closet and dig them all out. I use stupid legal terms and use paper records with digital record bullshit. Try and get away from full disclosure of what we know was able to get through to the system, claims and things like that of abuse. Because you can hear all the claims. They're on record for 30 years. Those are the ones that got lucky. Those are the ones that knew somebody on the street that was able to get the complaint to the right person. So that it could go to the state and actually be heard. Because many of us buzzed in forms. That was the system. You had to use a buzzing form, and we go to a buzzman, and they make a claim at the court. But then the same people that were abusing you are the same people that have to approve all those claims.
What?
They send them out from the cottage.
What?
Or from the system. I remember ADC was the first experience I had with this with Brad Asbury. He was a director, and he came under investigation back then. And I remember them coming in to YDC, talked to me and Charlie because we had been there the most. We had the records. But they came in, I didn't talk to them. I didn't want to talk to them. Charlie, I think I remember him talking to them. He asked me to talk to them, and I didn't. But it was an investigation at AEC, so what they do? They did an investigation, and they called it YDSU. Kept the same people in charge, same people working with the kids that were abusing them, but they had a clean slate now, so you couldn't use any accusations. And you can go back to the 80s, Youth Detention Center. It got changed to Youth Development Center. Youth Development Center went to DOC for a little bit. And DOC, it went to Sununu Center or whatever it went to. Every time that changed, something was going on. They changed it, cleaned their slate. That's what they do. So look into how many times it's changed, and you'll see there's always an investigation that never happened. It never got, when its full course all the way up. It was covered up. So the biggest issue I have and why I wanted to get involved with this, I was talking to Russ Riley the first time, and he made a point to me because I didn't care about freaking money. I don't care about getting my name all over the place. I try to live a low profile and take care of my family. But he said he doesn't want this to happen to any more kids. And that's what hit me.
real, man. Yeah, that's how it really is.
I got kids. I got a stepdaughter that's 12.
Yes, man.
It's
Yes.
the same age.
Yeah.
I can't imagine someone putting their hands on her.
Yeah.
Because they call me another murderer again.
Yep.
They call me violent. They use my history against me to shut me up. So that's what I wanted to really touch on was the cover-up shit, man. I've been seeing it my whole life. I lost faith in the system altogether a long time ago. And I've got my redemption my own personal way, which has always been there. I just ignored it. And I just want healing to occur, and I want healing in the system to occur. It's not going to occur if you're closing things down, putting walls up, not allowing people to see what they need to see so you can change it. So I know I couldn't change until I confronted myself with my own vices, my own issues. There's no way I would have changed. So the system's the same way. You know, it's the same exact way. You just got to confront yourself and say, yep, this is wrong.
Yep.
Make good on it,
Yep.
and then put a system in place that doesn't do that anymore, doesn't tolerate it anymore. It's a cultural thing. It's also a culture. We as a society are responsible to keep the government transparent about what they're doing in our names. They work for us. We the people, right? They work for us. We don't work for them. We're not scared of them. We don't care. You work for me. So if you're doing something in my name, you better friggin' tell me about it. And if I don't like it, you stop. It's that simple. Not even about the victims in YDC. It's about people in general. And this keeps happening all over government, all over. But in this situation, in these abuse cases, the cover-up is the biggest crime, like the man over here said. And it's about time that somebody somewhere who has a good heart still reaches out and does the right friggin' thing. That's all it takes is one person in the right place to do the friggin' right thing finally and make this all right. And with that, I'll leave you. Thank you very much.
Yo, wow.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You know, I'm just saying this. It's ironic that Charles is the one sitting in there, the bad guy, and he's the one that had the biggest heart to do this today.
Yep.
So it just goes to show, and the people that did this to him aren't. So it's rather ironic.
All right, so we now, I don't know if there's anybody else that's here that's a victim or a family member that wants to speak real quick. If not, we will jump into our whistleblower. Okay, here we are.
Okay, folks, I didn't identify myself as a whistleblower. I actually asked Frank to come out here today to apologize, humbly repent and apologize as being part of the system that did this to these kids. It didn't start at YDC. These kids had problems long before. These kids were potentially groomed for the abuse that they suffered long before they ever walked through those doors. And I know, I've talked to some of you folks already, and I know that we have more victims out there in this crowd right now that still do not have the courage to come forward because of the role they're in or whatever. I worked for DCYF for a number of years. I had a foster brother who was in YDC, actually Toby School, in Toby School. What I wanted to do, because what's happening is we have people here with t-shirts that say 170 years of abuse. And the one thing that I wanted to do is to use Charles' experience and knowledge about what is that 170 years. The reality is the New Hampshire government, through their administration, sat down in 1854 and decided that they were going to come up with facilities for juvenile reform. That's kids' jail, basically. Since 1857, the state of New Hampshire has operated facilities to rehabilitate children. That's what they called it. We find nothing in the record in about 170 years that show children have been rehabilitated and not suffered ongoing abuse. And that was through the system. It started with Laconia State School, and then it went to Toby School, and then it went to you can go back 170 years and find out any time that any child was identified as a victim, they changed the name. You've heard the victim speak. They changed the name. And they move people around. So now you're not at King Cottage, you go to East Cottage. Now you're not at East Cottage, you go to Sanders Cottage. It's a great big game. These are some of the perpetrators. That is probably 1/50th of the perpetrators just at YDC. These are the ones that the victims have had the courage to say, I'm done. I am not going to stay silent. I worked on the investigations team with the Ombudsman's office and with my group leaders. They were absolutely told, if you don't want to be treated worse, don't talk. Absolutely. I had a loved one who worked at King Cottage, and I didn't believe things were as bad as they were, that he would come home with the stories, and I'd say, well, did you report it? Yes. Okay, you did your job. That's your role. You don't need to do anything else, because that's how I was trained. And I believed in the system. Regardless of what any of these victims did in their life, they did not deserve the abuse they got. And it is time, and I want to thank the folks that came out here to support the victims, that they had the courage to finally say, let's stand together, let's unite, let's do this. But at the same time, for all of you that are going to watch this, every single one of us in the state of New Hampshire has a certain responsibility to these victims. Every single one of us in the state of New Hampshire needs to do a humble, heartfelt apology to every single one of these victims for what they went through. It doesn't matter what they did to quote unquote perpetrate the abuse. Doesn't matter. So I'm here today to say, let's stand together, let's start unifying, let's get an investigation going that's appropriate and transparent and the truth. So for all those victims that are going to see this, whether it was YDC, whether it was Toby School, whether it was Laconia, whether it was, regardless of where it was, even if it was a group home, foster home, we need to start doing appropriate investigations. The Ombudsman's office is about 20 steps from the Director of Health and Human Services office, or at least it was. How can the Ombudsman do an impartial investigation? Can't. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to take a pledge today that the state of that all of us that are here will take my information. I'll get you a copy of the petition, and I want you to go out and find folks to sign this petition so that we can give the voice to the voiceless. It's time. And in closing, I want to thank the victims. I want to thank the heroes, the real heroes of this event. And that is those victims that came forward today. And those of you who are out there that are not willing to come forward, it's okay. We'll have your back until you can. You know, I feel that these heroes, it's time to stand together with these heroes. And it's time to not back down. And it's time to say, I don't care what she or he did. What did you do? And the fact that this travesty has been going on, and we have been saying, don't talk, don't tell, is not okay. absolutely not okay. And I want to thank every single hero, and for myself, for everyone that's here that was not involved, that may not have been aware. We all have a certain responsibility to these kids, to these adults, and to future generations, that this stops now. So I humbly apologize on behalf of someone who worked within the system that abused you, as well as a taxpayer and a citizen of New Hampshire that participated in your abuse. And I pray every day that you will find the ability to forgive every single one of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. All right, everybody. Thank you all for coming out. We're almost done. We will take a minute to get our stuff together, and then we're going to march over and deliver this petition with the signatures that we do have now. So let's get ready for that.
If anyone hasn't signed it, it's on this.
If anyone hasn't signed it, it's over here.
Thanks for coming out. Where? Oh yeah, wait. Do you want to? Yeah. Do you want to speak? Sorry.
I forgot. I do have head trauma. Everybody knows that. I'm sorry. We have one more speaker here.
Therese, she forgot to save the best to last. That's all.
Saving the best for last. She's going to wow us up here.
So I don't want to repeat anything that everyone else has said, but first and foremost, these victims are heroes. I have talked to several of them over the last few weeks, and what they're saying to me is, yes, I could sign a form. So those that don't know, there was $100 million set aside by our Senate for the victims, and they can sign a form and get compensation for their abuse. And we thought, that's great, because a lot of them are living on the side of the street. They don't have the strength to have to go through litigation and years and rehash their stories. They really just want to go on with their stories. But time and time again, these victims have told me, I cannot fill that claim and take that money, knowing that the person who gang raped and sodomized me is still out there coaching children. I can't. And so my cry to everyone that might be listening to my voice right now is that there is a child who's going to put their head on their pillow tonight, and they're crying tears. Is there a grown-up who cares enough to stop this from happening? So for me, I'm all about action. What can we tangibly do? What can you tangibly do now that you're aware there needs to be action? The number one thing, when I ran into this 7 years ago, there was a woman, her name is Mary. I won't give you her whole name. I know she's watching. She's saved over 200 children that have aged out of the system, who came out, as we had one victim mention, and had no life skills, didn't know where the heck to go. She had two of the girls come and testify about how they were sex trafficked. We tried to get a mentoring program because she said the one thing we need is we need independent individuals who care, who truly care, getting in there and doing oversight and accountability in all of these institutions. So we just had last week on WMUR, the Child Advocacy. She went and followed 2 children that were shipped out to Tennessee, and a lot of these kids are shipped out of state. $350 a day we're paying for them, and she found them on the floor eating their food off the floor with rats running past their faces. She cried out, please bring them back to New Hampshire. She has it's a position they created to pretend that they were dealing with the issue. She has no authority to bring those kids back. The other thing we need to be aware of is there is a special committee of our legislators who are actively a task force on this issue. Do you know that for the last 2 weeks I've been trying to get the names of who is on that commission? And I see people in this crowd nodding their head. We cannot get the names of who is on that commission that's supposed to be tasking this. So I'm continuing to to figure out who that is, because they have subpoena power. They are the ones that can say we need independent individuals who are now care, even victims, to come and do oversight in these facilities. I was there when we did a mentoring program at the YDC, did a fundraiser for the kids to have MP3 players, because they're sitting there in solitary with not even music, guys. They can't even get out and go gardening, do karate, animal therapy. I mean, anything that would be therapeutic. We're forcing them into insanity. And we wonder then why they have disruptive behaviors, that we then turn around and we treat the dogs at the SPCA far better than we do our children. It is a cultural issue that we have neglected them. And your silence is agreement. Your silence is allowing this to happen. All right? And we have people on this board who are looking to run for office, who knew about this in 2009 and stayed silent. And not only were there more children now that have been abused, but now as taxpayers we have about a multi-billion-dollar liability that we will pay. Well, the man who took them into the back at the middle of the night, had them beat each other up, and whoever wasn't knocked out got to go back to the room. But the ones that were knocked out, guess what? They got sodomized. These are real stories, guys. And those individuals are still out there walking. And yet the AAG, who knew this was happening, wants to continue to legislate for all of us and continue to bury it for what, another 170 years? We have our own side of freedom right here in New Hampshire, guys. And every single one of us needs to call our legislators and ask who is on the committee for the task force for YDC. I'll leave you with one other piece of information that I've discovered. That property was gifted to the orphans of the mill buildings to be used for good. Everyone knows Manchester's a hot mess. We have so many disenfranchised homeless people. Harmony Montgomery, if her parents could have just gone and gotten a package of diapers. They were tired, they were hungry, they were stressed, they were overwhelmed. She soiled herself in the back seat. That father was at his wit's end, and he killed her. If they had a safe place that they could have gone, that child would still be alive today. There's plenty of resources, there's plenty of money, there's plenty of ability to do right by our children, and we are not outnumbered, we are out-organized. But I'm asking every single one of you to ask your legislator who is on the task force, who is the independent entity that's going into our group homes and going into our YDC to make sure these kids are safe and that they're being properly cared for. That is something you can all do today. Thank you all for coming. I'm humbled to be asked to even be here to speak on this. I was made aware of it 8 years ago, and I got to do a tour and I got to get in there, and I wanted a mentoring program. I wanted you guys to go for a hike with these kids. I wanted you to go bake cookies with them and sit down and do automotive, or just see them and be that sunlight for them. And I can't believe that 8 years has gone by and the abuse is still happening. I had a nurse reach out that she was on assignment from October to April just this last year. She says, Therese, I was crying out, is he still breathing? Is he still breathing? As a 6-foot guard who's 280 pounds was on top of this 14-year-old child. And she said, I had to leave the assignment. The people that work there, I've got like 5 or 6 of them, they're also secondary trauma. Some of them were good people. I met one yesterday at orientation at my new job. He was there for 2 months and couldn't stand it. They need to come out, but they're dealing with trauma too. So if you're one of those individuals, please, we need to link arms. We need to have one central place where all the victims can come together. Everyone who cares about the victims can come together, and we form an army that tells this establishment that's trying to cover this up, no more, it's a new day. God bless you, and thank you for coming.
One last thing I forgot. So this is the first event of many events that we're going to be doing until this thing gets solved. The next one is going to be at the cul-de-sac outside Sununu's house in Newfields. So we're expecting to do that on the solstice. Keep an eye on the YDC Victims Advocates page, and you'll see that event there, and everybody will be inviting it and sharing it. But this is not it, and we're not going to go away quietly. Thank you all.
Press it and hold it until it turns on.
One more thing. Ashley and Charles put together all the cost for the posters, the T-shirts.
That's all Charles.
All Charles put all his money. God bless him. Can we just pray for Charles real quick? And then I have a hat. There's a hat there that says Lion. Can you pass that around? If you can afford a couple dollars cash to reimburse the T-shirts and the posters, it will all go back to Charles. But right now, Lord God, I just pray right now, Father, I pray that you would raise up a remnant and an army that stands for what is right, and that you would redeem and restore. Lord, please hear our cries of just forgive us of our complacency, forgive us of our silence, and help us to come and raise up and stop the evil and put the evil under our foot. Lord, give us the strength and the tools and the ability to do what it is you would want to do for your children. You are a good, good Father. Lord, the evil comes to kill, steal, and destroy, and it is running rampant. Let us take a stand and stop it. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Frank asked, Frank, you and Charles resemble each other. Charles asked if you could let everyone know, bring your signs and where that to stay so we can walk everything over. The more, the better.
Yeah, bring your signs, everybody. Let's get ready. We're going to walk over about a block away, deliver this thing to the U.S. Attorney.
Pack it up, yeah, whatever you need to do, and then yeah, we'll come back and grab whatever. All right, so next we are walking over to the AG's office, and we bump into Dick Tracy, and then we head over to the 55 Pleasant Street, the federal courthouse, to give the petition to the U.S. Attorney and talk to the feds. And you'll see there that I did take off my video camera. I haven't had a chance to fully research their claims about filming. I did a little bit while I was there. I'm not going to reveal my findings. I'm going to continue to look into that. And I will be back to the federal courthouse to follow up on this for sure. And most likely to challenge their alleged rules against filming. So that's that. He's making copies right now.
Tell people to come in?
If they want, they can. I'm going to ask him if he'll come out and address us.
Okay.
But if everybody wants to crowd in the lobby, that'd be great.
You guys all come in and speak. In the lobby here, we'll stay.
Use utmost respect, everybody. Be respectful.
Hey Frank, you want the original or you want us to keep the original?
What do you think is better? I'm not sure. It does. You guys can keep the original. And so, when we gather more signatures, where would we send them to?
You send them here.
Just send them to wherever, any Department of Justice, general thing. And I was curious if you might want to come out and say something. We just had a rally about. Did you glance over that or anything?
I haven't read this yet.
It's about the decades-long cover-up of the sexual abuse that happened at YDC and all the other state facilities and foster families and things like that. And we're demanding a federal investigation into the state cover-up.
Have you? I see you addressed this to the U.S. Attorney. Are you going to give them a copy?
I don't know if you could forward them a copy. If that's possible, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to come say.
I can't, but I can talk to I'll see if our communications director is here.
That'd be great. NHPR is out here, and
one thing I ask is keep the entrance in case anybody.
yeah, we won't block anybody.
Anybody wants to come and go.
Sure,
okay?
sure.
All right, I'll be right back.
No problem. Thank you so much.
I think we should all go out on the sidewalk like we were.
We can, we'll wait out front.
Okay, just keep the entrance.
Yeah, we're gonna wait right out front. Okay, thank you.
So they're gonna see if they can send the public relations person out. Hey, what's up? Jane Young. Who was, hold on, is that Dick Tracy? Yeah, all right, I'll tell you. All right. All right. So I asked if Dick Tracy would come out. That was Dick Tracy that I talked to. And then he said he's going to see if the public relations person is available. So we're waiting to see if they come out. So, you know, anything is a win in that respect. As long as we can get somebody out here, that would be cool. Right. Right. Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we can do. We're working on it. All right. All right.
You can give it to Melissa.
Hold on. Here's Melissa. Yeah, and I didn't have the video going until, and I went in there. It's funny. Dick Tracy's like, "Hey, Frank." He knew exactly who I was. Yeah.
That's okay. I won't get every second.
Yeah. It is what it is. He was just doing pretty good coverage of it, so I don't know what they're gonna put out. The public relations person, possibly.
Is that who we're supposed to hand it over to?
We'll see. I gave it to Dick Tracy, and I got this stamp. Yeah, I got the stamp. It's received right here. And then he's going to send a copy to the U.S. Attorney of the United States as well. Yes, if we wanted that. So
We should all get individual
petitions. Yeah. We could definitely, people could do that. Email it, boom. You can email it though. They said just email it to the Department of Justice and they'll get it.
I wrote to Mayor Garland.
You have a copy of it? The petition?
You surprised by that? What did you
have a copy of the petition?
No, he made it.
Send me a copy of the petition.
Okay, yep.
I think I like
Send me a message to remind me.
I will.
Thank you.
All right, I gotta
Whoa.
go. I gotta get to
Thank you guys for coming.
Yep. All right,
brother.
I gotta pick up a little more.
Yep. Be good. Be good or be good at it. Is running for governor? Running for governor? Oh, I could. People asked me. Yeah, somebody asked me to run for mayor of Manchester. Mayor of Manchester. I can solve the homeless crisis for sure. I got plans. I got experience too. Worked in Manchester. Not only did I go through all this and then come right out of the homeless shelter when I paroled there from prison and lift myself up, but I worked at Manchester Mental Health as well. What's up?
What's the situation?
We're waiting for the PR person to come out. For the U.S. Attorney. It was Dick Tracy in there.
The U.S. Attorney is based out of this building.
No, the New Hampshire U.S. Attorney. I don't know what it's called, Assistant Attorney. I don't know.
Attorney General for New Hampshire.
Sure, whatever.
But I thought we were going to the feds.
This is the feds, isn't it?
No.
Oh, I thought this was the feds.
Is this
Department of Justice.
But it's a steal of the state of New Hampshire, so it makes it the same.
New Hampshire Department of Justice.
Where's the federal one?
At the federal courthouse, I told you that.
Where's that? Oh.
Down the street.
We can go there after. I'll go there by myself, I guess. I'll bring this thing.
All right. I'm burning up. I think they're just trying to spin you and wait where.
Yeah, whatever. At least we can try to get somebody out here to say something and get them on the record. It is what it is.
I hear you.
I'll catch up with you.
I thought this was the federal one.
I told you that. You kept saying it's behind. I'm like, no, it isn't. It's down by the federal building.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would have no chance. Let's keep it real. You know, it would have to be a lot of money and people to get behind me. You know. I'm like melting right now too.
It's us not coming together and linking arms for liberty. It's us being disjointed. It's us being unorganized. It's us being complacent. Until we have 60, 70,000 people all on one page and say 1, 2, 3, go. We're not going to fix it. We're outnumbered. We're outnumbered.
This isn't even the federal thing, so I can probably go there afterwards and deliver the petition. He's gonna forward it to them, he said. But yeah, I thought this was this. It's probably too far to walk. Whatever, it is what it is. Nice to meet you.
Do you know who to vote for? No. Does my neighbor know who to vote for? No. But it's not rocket science. If we all come together, we can figure out that Kelly Ayotte was the AG the last time that disability investigation happened. We can fan out. We can be the news. We can be the media. We can multiply it out to everyone in our sphere of influence. But somehow we've got to get organized. And for the life of me, I don't know how to do it. I'm trying my little hardest. Frank's laughing at me. But seriously.
It has to be said because people have to realize we're not doing it.
We're disjointed.
We're not doing it, and this is something we have actual power in taking control of. But direction is key, and communication is key, and that's where
we don't want to be led.
No,
and we don't have any leaders.
Yes.
So we're just like flapping in the wind like a bunch of chickens with their freaking heads cut off. Oh, they laugh at us.
They're probably reading the thing over. They're reading it and making some phone calls and what should we do? Should we go out or not? Oh, maybe they're gonna say, oh, we're busy. Who knows?
So did you give him the whole petition in there, Frank?
Yeah, he's gonna forward it to the U.S. attorney.
Is that a
And
police
yeah, it's
Tell you
a
what.
Constitution badge.
Certified, mail it. Certified.
I got the
Then they have to sign for the.
It's got the stamp on the back.
Yeah, but what they do is they claim they've never read it, never seen it.
He didn't seem to. He's like, well, I don't know. We don't do that. We don't make copies.
If you certify it, they'll deliver right here, hand delivered, and they have to sign for it, and then you know, and you can track it.
Words are corrupt too.
Everything is. Right.
All the way to the
They're not going to let that get to
It's
the
not
top.
going to happen unless we all get our horses harnessed up and ready to go. You know, it's got to be we the people.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. That's why I think on the 26th, everybody bring what they have, what lane they're working in, any petitions, and get them all signed. Come here. When we sign the petition for our redeclaration of independence, we get us out of the U.S. Inc. That's going to stop a lot of this. This stuff all here is just like D.C., the 10-mile radius of D.C., the dead corpse, the debunked corporation that's bankrupt. Well, New Hampshire is too. This is all a big scam and all Lucifer worshiping, all of it. Devil worshiping.
Right.
Sacrificing children. We have Masonic temples right on Elm Street. The Nightmare on Elm Street, you know?
Well, that was Potsdam, New York, specifically.
Well, how about the Statue of Liberty? That's a ball thing. They brought it to New York. The U.S. Inc., the Statue of Liberty, the flame, what she's holding. Okay, the flame is the roots, and this is the penis of Lucifer.
Oh, I didn't
Of Osiris. That's what that is.
That's what it was.
That's what it is. No one knows that. Not many people know that, but here's the thing. It's a lot of it's Freemasons. You go walk on the side of that building on the floor, on the ground. There's blocks or whatever they are.
There we go. We got some movement here.
Have symbolism. Symbolism will be the, there we go. Anybody got camera?
Yeah.
So I can't make a comment, Frank, but I was told I can give you this. This is what's sent out to a couple media inquiries today. Okay, and the front office has your petition, and they'll forward it to the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Awesome.
Okay?
Thank you so much, sir.
Take care.
You
Good
too.
luck.
Have a good day. Thank you. See you.
Thank you.
So there's been media
Please
inquiries,
do the right thing inside.
and this
these
is what they
buildings.
put together
Pass it
for the
on to
media.
your
So
peers.
where did he
We're not
take
gonna
off?
stop. We're gonna do things by the law, though.
That's right.
He's right down there.
He's taking off. I was gonna give it to him, but yeah. So we got this. It says our YDC criminal investigations remain active and ongoing. They're never going to end. Any person with information regarding criminal conduct at the YDC is urged to contact New Hampshire Attorney General's YDC Task Force Hotline 270-4000 or 271-4000. At this time, we cannot comment on specific cases. In general, sexual assault can be the most challenging type of criminal case, especially when it involves an investigation into incidents that occurred decades ago, and especially when it's with state workers involved. These are legal considerations that must be reviewed as to each specific case. Further, the passage of time makes it difficult for investigators to obtain corroborating evidence, and some prosecutions may be barred by the statute of limitations. In addition to our ongoing investigations, our prosecutors are preparing charged cases for trial that are anticipated to begin in 2024. A YDC settlement fund has been established by an act of the legislature to administer and settle claims of abuse at the New Hampshire's Youth Development Center in prior decades, and is intended to provide a trauma-informed, victim-centered alternative to litigation for the efficient and fair resolution of those claims. And that's the problem, is all these cases should be brought forward, and I hate to say it, but it's
You know what I want to march back in there and say, so tell me who's doing the oversight right now for the 15 children that are in YDC. Why did they discontinue the mentoring program there?
Right.
Why can you and I, Frank, not go down there and volunteer to sit with those kids and do a jigsaw puzzle? Right.
And the rest of it's a bunch of...
We need to get into the building.
He's forwarding it. We can go there anyways, but where is it? Can you check? Where's 55 what?
Copy and pasted.
Where's Pleasant Street? So we can walk over there if you guys want and see what they have to say. I have no problem doing that. You want to do that? All right. Let's take a trip to 55 Pleasant Street and see what they have to say.
Waited for the walk to jaywalk with the
Yeah.
helmet.
So this guy, you security? Trying to figure out where to deliver a petition to the U.S. Attorney. Front door? Thank you, sir. Hello? Hey. Nothing, we just got to the federal courthouse. So yeah, we're gonna be, yeah. Can I call you back? Or, all right, I'll call you back. All right, bye. We're going to the federal courthouse. Employee entrance only. Use of rollerblades, closed federal department. Closed door, not that way. This way? YMCA.
I've been there like 1,000 times.
1,000 times? This is a big building.
Oh!
Whoa!
That's New York.
Yeah.
Capitol here somewhere. Nope. Only one capital in this state.
All right, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to give somebody my knife. There is a legal knowing and possessive firearms, other dangerous. Can somebody hold this for me?
Yeah.
All right, I'll be right back. You guys can stay out here. Hey, how's it going? We have a petition to drop off to the U.S. Attorney. I don't know how to do that. If you can have somebody come out maybe, or...
Yeah, because if you come through, you have to leave your electronics behind and all that stuff.
Yeah, we just walked over here, so.
Right.
I mean, I could leave stuff with, if somebody could come out, that'd be great.
Yeah, I can check to see if they'd want to do that.
And if they have a public relations person that maybe wants to comment or anything, that'd be awesome.
Okay, let me check and do you want to stay here? You want to go outside? I'll get back to you.
We could wait right here, yeah, outside if you want.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
All right. So yeah, they're gonna send somebody out. So we'll see. So now we're at the U.S. Attorney's Office. That was the the District Attorney for New Hampshire, Department of Justice over there. And here is where we want the federal investigation to start, right? So these are the people that need to have that. And they are forwarding it to the U.S. Attorney General, but we are here to give it directly to the local feds for this investigation, right? Because obviously the state is doing a piss poor job of investigating this thing, and they seem to just be, investigating forever. These investigations are never ending, and we want people held accountable and charged, and we want some of these state employees and the people that we heard about today that are still working with children that did some of the abuse. Like, this is unacceptable.
At the YDC?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know, but I just want to let the people that watching know.
Yeah, YDC, and I mean, it's more than just YDC. It was all kinds of state placements. The Toby School and Spalding Youth Center and foster families. One of the YDC guards who is accused of some of the abuse, they put this kid that he was accused of abusing into his foster care, So it's just unacceptable, the whole thing. What are they going to do? Who knows? Probably nothing, Like we heard, they like to label us all bad kids and liars, and they're gonna make it up, and they deserve what they get. And if you speak out, it's gonna get worse. And thankfully, the tides seem to be turning on all that. You saw today, we had people back out from speaking because it's terrifying. It's very tough.
Hey guys, how are
Hey,
you?
how's it going?
Good. Hey, I'm Joe Vitanzi from the U.S. Marshal's office.
Frank
Glad
Staples.
you guys are here. Frank, we know each other.
Oh yeah, from
Yeah, I can't remember from where, but
probably my YouTube channel, Absolute
yeah,
Defiance.
That's it.
All right.
So listen, we're happy that you guys are here. We don't have any issue. I would just ask that you please don't block the entrances.
Yeah, no problem.
And I understand you have a petition that you want to deliver up to the U.S. Attorney's Office. So
Yes, sir.
Maybe we don't need everybody to come in, but if you want to come in, I'll show you right where to go. I'll bring you up to the lobby and you can deliver that petition if you want to. Does that work for you or somebody else?
Well, my question.
So, ma'am, yes, you can, but you cannot bring in electronics, and you'll have to pass.
And what's
through security.
what's the rule on that whole electronics thing and filming?
Yeah. So inside of the courthouse, you can't do that. We have a court
What's the
order
law?
in place.
It's a court order.
It's a court order. Yeah.
So that's for courtrooms.
No, it's for the entire building.
How do they do that outside? Isn't it public?
Outside? You're
Is
good.
is it a public building?
This is I'm not. I don't want to.
I do want to get into it because that's what I do.
I want to help you.
I know.
Get that delivered to the U.S. Attorney's Office. I can only present you with the information that I have. Okay. I want to help you. If you want me to help you, let me do that. But
Sure.
you can't bring in electronics, and you will need to go through security.
Could I get a copy of the order that
I can absolutely get you.
That's
a copy
what I'm
of the
interested in
Yeah, sure.
how that all works.
Sure. So why don't we tackle this first? We'll get this to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Before we do that, we got to get you through security.
Yep.
Okay.
So no electronics?
No electronics, no firearms, none of that.
No firearms.
I have ongoing investigations, so if I leave my things,
I hate.
It's a public building.
I'm
You're
trying to-
welcome to. It would be easy.
I don't know what he's saying.
So it would be easiest. I think what we initially agreed upon was the two of you to go up to the lobby
Sure.
and deliver this petition.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to. Yeah, I just need to give somebody my stuff.
I'm sorry, ma'am. No, there's no other entrance.
with you. I cannot film anyway.
Well, you can still hear it and then report on it.
Good idea. You can
Do you
still
want some
report.
time to like
Just report on.
Should be fine.
Just do a written report afterwards of what you witnessed. Howard, everything.
I'll take that. Take this. Hey, what's up, buddy? I'm going inside real quick. I gotta go talk.
All right. So I'm going to try to recount what happened when we went into the federal building. So it would have been nice to been able to film everything because they were very nice. They were very polite. Me and Bao Chow Kelly went in there, and it took a little while. I don't know. We were in there for a little bit. But I've never dealt with the federal court, per se, with the filming and anything like that, nullification-wise, constitutional rights, First Amendment, all that. Yet, the only time I've ever been there was for my beard lawsuit when I was in prison and I sued for being held in solitary confinement for not shaving my beard. But that's a whole nother thing. So I've never really had any interactions at the federal courthouse, especially with the filming. But the guy, Joe, I don't know, I can't remember, I didn't rewatch any of the video that I'm stitching together here, but the head of security, Joe, he knew me. I don't know, he said he knew me, and I asked him how, and he kind of waffled, and I said my YouTube channel, because I've never been there, I've never done anything there, and he said, yeah, but it's probably there, they have meetings about all this type of stuff. He also said they knew that we were going to be there. They heard we were going to be there. There were people also inquiring to the AG's office. They gave us this canned response, as you saw. It says response to this gathering. It actually says New Hampshire DOJ response to 8/25 gathering of YDC victims. So that's just some canned bull BS, right? But the feds were really cool. The guy Joe, he said he thanked me. It's not just me; it's all of us. Obviously, there's no one person who started this thing. Really, it was Charlie. If it was anybody, but that's neither here nor there. He said he thanked me for taking on this. What did he say? Taking on this cause. So he was very appreciative. It seemed very genuine when he said that. So they're well aware, and hopefully, the petition to the feds and some more emails. Anyone who hasn't signed the petition, you can copy and paste, or you can email me at Absolute Defiance, and I can send it to you, and then you can email it to the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Hampshire, Attention Charles, and I'll remind you of that. If you do email me, Absolute Defiance at protonmail.com, I'll send that to you. But yeah, Joe thanked me. I appreciate that and everything. This is not going away. This thing is just getting started. The trials haven't even, the first trial is going to be in April 2024, I believe. The criminal trials for but there needs to be more than that in the meantime. This is unacceptable that we still have people, which you heard there's still people working for the state who are involved in this and helped cover everything up. And a lot of them have just moved up higher and higher and higher and higher. So another thing, with Joe, he was really cool. I forget the other guy, I think Paul, and there's a female. I'm gonna say Katie. But I'm probably wrong. So anyways, they heard we were coming. They got me inside to deliver the petition. It was very nice. I discussed the whole recording in there and whether or not it was a public building. He did admit it's a public building, but he said it's a federal building. And I said, so? It's like the post office, federal building. So he was supposed to get me a printout of the court order that they're claiming denies us the right to film in public. So he forgot to give that to me. I went back and I took pictures of the poster of their rules. And they should go read it, is all I'm going to say. They should go read it, because I'm going to be coming back for a follow-up. And that's about it. Yep. I think that's all the things that I wanted to talk about. I want to thank you all. Please share this. I'm not monetized. I don't do this for money. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Thank you so much.